Fiddle Frog. I'm Corey Lancaster. I'm from Princeton, North Carolina. Well, this frog is made out of yellow pine and was carved over a process of a few months here and there. It's a whimsical piece. I did it to initially to attract attention to my gallery, put out near the road so everybody could see it, and since it's a bigger sculpture. But I thought it'd be perfect for the town of Clayton. It's whimsical and funny and cute, and everybody seems to enjoy it. It's all done with chainsaw. And of course I'll use Dremels and stuff for the eyes if necessary. My initial response I would have liked was just people to crack a smile and be kind of taken aback by it, because you don't really expect to see a 6-foot-tall wooden frog playing a fiddle in a tuxedo jacket. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and a lot of people have messaged me on Facebook or texted me or even stopped at some of my events and pointed out how much they enjoy seeing it every time they drive by. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to place my art, especially in a local setting.
Sunrise, sunset. My name's Jordan Pera. I'm from Greenville, North Carolina. This piece began with a morning sunrise, really. Just the surrounding colors and the glow radiating from the sun on the clouds. And I wanted to relate the idea of the sun and how it changes throughout the day to people. And basically relating to the idea and the general principle that all people are different yet equal. I hope people feel a sense of harmony and just really a positive energy from the piece. It took about a month to make. Probably half the time was fabricating and the other half was painting. I think it's a wonderful location. I'm just glad to be exhibiting with all the other sculptors and really engaging the community in the public art.
Duplexity. Charlie Brower, from Floyd County, Virginia. I thought of the idea of our kind of mixed emotions that we sometimes have about home and what it means to us. Sometimes it's the source of greatest comfort, and sometimes it's where a lot of frustrations can occur. So I thought, I would do a sculpture that wasn't only about all the positive things about home, but one that suggests that it's okay that we sometimes have problems with homes, and we have to deal with that too. Locust wood grows all over the eastern seaboard, really, and it's one of the hardest woods. It's also not very commercially valuable, and I cut the wood to dimensions that I need. So if I'm working on a foot, I start out with a piece that looks like it could be part of a foot, and that will get screwed to the base, and then I'll just keep adding pieces that represent the other parts of the figure. I really enjoy doing these sculptures in the city programs because it gets the artwork out to where people don't ordinarily necessarily come to see the artwork, but they encounter it. And I think that's nice when art can do that.
The title is Blue Cube. Name is Hannah Gibran. This sculpture actually, I designed it specifically for this location in mind. What you see is the cube being fractured, kind of exploding pattern. And the center is a cube of blue, and the blue represents water. Water, space, earth, and that's how I view my sculpture. Outside the cube, there is another circle represents Earth, the globe. And that's how I see my work in relation between color, pattern, and linear quality. I want it to be open to represent space and floating. And we know Earth recognize it as the blue planet. And that's where the cube with the blue comes from.
Spirit Tree. It's Kathy Perry from Chocowinity, North Carolina. So it is made of bronze. The center main body is hollow, but the limbs and the roots are actually solid bronze. The leaves are polychrome copper so that they can reflect a little bit of the seasonal changes, and that's what that is supposed to look like. Well, I was raised on a farm in Kentucky, with my 5 sisters, and we played out in the woods a lot. And one of my fondest memories was playing at the creek, and there was a huge sycamore tree there that we used to swing off into the creek. And so whenever I was doing these pieces that's all about being raised on the farm and all the memories that entailed, that was one of my fondest memories. I hope that they can actually tie it into maybe a memory that they have of their own. Most children love to climb trees, which was one of our fondest things to do anyway. And I'd like for that to be tied into their childhood, and hopefully that it can spark a memory from their own childhood, and just that feeling of complete childhood playtime that you'd have in the summer.
This piece is called Reincarnation. Matt Amante, I'm from Winterville, North Carolina. This piece is from a series called the Semicircle Balance Study series, which is really just about balance and form. But I titled this Reincarnation because it's from an old sculpture that essentially was dead to me. It showed at an inside show for 2 years and I'd forgotten about it, and it didn't work right on a pedestal, so it was reincarnated with a new base, and now it's got a new life. When we put a piece like this out in public, I'm not trying to convey a certain message. I hope it's just something that fits into the environment that can enhance the region that it's sitting in. This environment's perfect. This is the second year I've done Clayton shows. It's always one of my favorite ones to come to, and I think this show and the landscaping here is one of the best places that I get to install work at. I think the sculpture trail concept's perfect because I think that ties into local business, and when people are out looking at things that are in the community, they're more likely to go into a business and have a drink or get lunch. So I think it's a win-win for a town.
I call this piece Mother and Child. Adam Walls, Hope Mills, North Carolina. It's 2 spheres that I kind of think of kind of resembling, if anything, seeds or nuts or something. But the idea is that their 2 spheres are so close together that if rain should pour on the larger one, they'd pour through the mouth of the larger one into the mouth of the smaller one. And that would be, for me, kind of symbolic of a sharing of love or a sharing of nourishment between a mother and a child. It had such a pitted and rough surface that I couldn't just paint the piece. It just looked like it had too much history. A lot of times I paint my works, and in this case, I looked at it and like, well, it's got so much recording of history on it. And I think something about that idea of history made me start thinking about a passing on of history from mother to child, and I thought I was probably thinking about what other things are shared between a mother to a child.
This piece is titled Up, Up and Away. My name's Jordan Pera. I'm from Greenville, North Carolina. This piece is made of steel, and it took probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And the painting actually was one of the longest parts because it's 5 different colors. This piece is meant to show an aerodynamic feel. The white and the light blue somewhat represent movement in the clouds in the sky that are carrying these balloons, and to create a sense of unity with these balloons as well. This is really big for me. I've done public exhibitions for about a year now, and so fairly new to the outdoor art world. And anyways, it's just a pleasure to have my piece here and an honor, honestly. I think it's just wonderful that they can engage the arts and engage the public with the arts as well, combining them. I think that's very important, and I think it's a way to bring people together.
This piece is called In Motion. Jeff Kiefer, I'm local. I live in Clayton. Kind of like an erector set, so you can kind of mix and match pieces as well. So every time this piece is assembled and deassembled, it changes a little bit. Through different installations, I get new lumber each time, and then the links in here and there kind of move around a little bit, so it gets a little, some of the dimensions change every time. So the metal's reused every time, but then the lumber kind of gets changed in and out. I've made a little miniature version of this, so all the little elbow joints out of steel, and then I have a bunch of different size links of pieces of wood that I use, and I just assemble it like a little toy. And then I use that little toy as my model to make the bigger version. It actually is a toy. My 2-year-old plays with it and helps me to construct and design these. It shows a strong growing community when they can embrace the arts. I mean, the arts go hand in hand with business and with science and with knowledge, so it kind of brings in kind of the cultural element to a community.